Assalamu alaikum. So continuing onward, one of the other things that we suggest, for improving relations between Islam and the West, is an anonymous hotline that's run by mostly Western converts to Islam who are well educated, who can answer these tough questions for people. And some people, they have these negative opinions about Islam and Muslims and immigration, and they don't. But at the same time, they thought what happened 2 weeks ago was absolutely horrendous, right? And but at the same time, they don't want to express these sentiments publicly because it can get them into a lot of trouble, and they don't normally talk about these things, and me and my friends at I4E, we've talked to these people before. We're changing their inshallah hearts and minds on the religion, but that takes a lot of hard work, and that's not going to come easy. But I think a skilled group of educated Western converts running an anonymous hotline on hot button issues on Islam is going to be much needed, and I think that will have a lot of a benefit, inshallah. Not just for those who harbor strong negative opinions toward Islam, but also those who are on the fence, who hear all of these attacks and don't know who to turn to, and they're not going to feel comfortable going to a mosque. They're not going to feel comfortable even talking to Muslims on the street. So that's another suggestion that we have. While we're talking about Muslims on the street, me myself, I don't look like a Muslim when I walk around, but when I see Muslims on the street, I always say Assalamu alaikum. One thing I noticed, from the head of the National Canadian Council of Muslims, who was interviewed after the attack, the response in saying that we need to weed these people, people who have Islamophobia out. I think it sort of just oversimplifies the issue. And in treating the fact that, among non-Muslims, especially in the Anglosphere, that you're using strict in-group and out-group models that are normally, used by ethnic minority groups, right? Whereas in Islam, you can join the in-group instantly, when you can convert to Islam at any time. And, I know it's a difficult position for them to be in, but we've sort of lost the proselytizing aspect of the reason why Muslims are here or should be here in the first place, which is to present Islam as an alternative solution for those who choose it. So a good response would be what can non-Muslims do about what happened. I would suggest study Islam. Just being an ally, that's great, coming to the marches for Islamophobia and stuff, but if you're curious about Islam, read up on it, or don't be afraid to reach out to Muslims who want to know more about who are educated, who can answer your questions about the religion. Even those who are interested in it, just saying Assalamu alaikum to a Muslim on the street, it makes them feel that that they're welcome. And I always take that opportunity. It's something. It's sort of a lost sunnah, and I understand a lot of Muslims don't do that anymore because, they're just used to having Muslims all around. But, it's something that we should definitely bring back. When you see another Muslim, you should say Assalamu alaikum. And I find that most of them, when they do realize that I said that, they feel that they're not that they're not alone, basically. Right. So that's another thing. But I would say in general, the Anglosphere is basically it's a dying society, and the birth rates, for European peoples in Europe and in the diaspora has gone way down, and this has harbored a lot of nationalist, anti-Muslim, anti-immigration sentiment among the right. Right. So what's important to understand is that there is a segment among those on the right who actually have a lot of respect for Islam, and they realize that Islam as a religion has solutions for their society. Like Islam it emphasizes strengthening family ties. It emphasizes marriage and family. Islam is against things that cause the destruction of society, like drug abuse, fornication, pornography, nihilism, antinatalism, things like that. So, there is that internal battle occurring within the right, and we're well versed in that because we're the ones giving dawah to these people, and it's important for Muslims to understand this because, you know, as Western converts, we never collectivize, like I said, but if given that opportunity, right, it would completely undercut all of these arguments, and you cut off the argument, that main argument against Islam at the source, because when they see Western converts collectivizing, using either converting to Islam or seeing the positives in it, and eventually marrying each other and having families, keeping their own culture as European diaspora Muslims, while still being part of the greater Muslim community. I've talked to people on the right who think this is an absolutely wonderful idea, and they even said if Muslims, would support this, it would completely, they would do a total 180 on Muslims and Islam, right? So, and there's clubs, within Canada, especially within London, the German clubs, the Dutch clubs, and I think us at I4E, we should be reaching out to them and, presenting Islam as an alternative, and that's one aspect that is the main argument against Islam that, we can address very easily and in a clear-cut way. But the other arguments that come from the anti-Islam right that get, the most media attention are from like anti-Islam figures like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Yasmin Mohammed, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, and most of these attacks on Islam, where they take one example of Muslims doing bad things and they think, okay, well, this is what Islam teaches, like things that, for example, and these are not true. They'll say that Islam encourages rape and honor killings, and attacks on non-Muslims and denigration of churches and synagogues and things like that. And those those are very easily refutable. It's just having the educational tools to give Muslims and non-Muslims in order to totally fight back against those arguments. And I think by simply doing Islamophobia laws, you're getting rid of this dynamic, this dialectic, that this discourse that should be occurring, and it's. I understand, that these figures that I just mentioned, they're not going to have Muslims on their show, right? And they have a very clear agenda that they want to make Islam look as bad as possible. But there are other Muslim da'is and educated people who have studied this in detail, who have created their own response videos, and we need to be able to give those people more of a voice, and at least present the invitation of these people who have anti-Islam sentiment to come and debate us, right? So at least when they don't respond, we can say, we did our part and we're always open for debate. And in that way, the people who are on the fence on Islam will actually say, okay, yes, the Muslims know what they're talking about. They're educated. They don't agree with these things. This is not what their faith teaches. And, then you'll see, hearts and minds, inshallah, change for the better. Okay, so I know these are hot button issues and not everyone is going to agree with me on this. There are still people, Muslims among the left, who would completely disagree with me and say that, we shouldn't harbor any conversation with these people. And I get where you're coming from. And I totally understand why you would not want to do that yourselves. But let us give the chance to present our side of the story. So inshallah, we can create a better world between Islam and the West. So that's my opinion for tonight. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.